In the mid-19th century, the world of firearms was changing rapidly. For centuries, soldiers and frontiersmen relied on single-shot weapons that required a long and careful reloading process after every shot. This meant pouring powder, placing a bullet, ramming it down the barrel, and then preparing the firing mechanism before pulling the trigger again. In combat or dangerous situations, this slow process could mean the difference between survival and defeat. But everything began to change in 1860 with the arrival of the revolutionary Henry repeating rifle. The story of this groundbreaking firearm begins with an American inventor named Benjamin Tyler Henry. Working for the New Haven Arms Company, Henry developed a rifle that would dramatically improve the rate of fire available to a single soldier. His design built upon earlier repeating firearm concepts but refined them into a reliable and practical weapon. The result was the Henry repeating rifle, introduced in 1860. Unlike traditional rifles of the time, this weapon allowed the shooter to fire multiple rounds without reloading after every shot. Instead of loading powder and ball through the muzzle each time, the Henry rifle used a metal cartridge and a tubular magazine that could hold several rounds at once. This magazine was located beneath the barrel and could hold up to 16.44 caliber rimfire cartridges. For a soldier in the 1860s, this was an incredible advantage. Most infantry rifles of the time were still muzzle loaders, capable of firing only 2 or 3 shots per minute under ideal conditions. The Henry rifle, however, allowed a trained shooter to fire all 16 rounds in rapid succession before needing to reload the magazine. The rifle operated using a lever action mechanism. A lever located beneath the trigger guard served several purposes. When the shooter pushed the lever downward and forward, it ejected the spent cartridge casing from the chamber. As the lever was pulled back into place, a new cartridge was lifted from the magazine and chambered into the barrel. This motion also cocked the hammer, preparing the rifle to fire again. This smooth and efficient motion meant that a shooter could maintain a steady rhythm of firing without removing their eyes from the target. In practical terms, this allowed soldiers to deliver sustained firepower that had rarely been seen on the battlefield before. The Henry rifle fired the .44 Henry rimfire cartridge. Although it was not as powerful as some larger military cartridges of the era, it provided a good balance between recoil, accuracy, and magazine capacity. The cartridge used a rimfire ignition system, meaning the firing pin struck the rim of the cartridge base to ignite the powder inside. One of the most distinctive features of the Henry rifle was its brass receiver. This gave the weapon a unique golden appearance that made it instantly recognizable. The brass receiver was strong enough to handle the pressure of the rimfire cartridges and was also resistant to corrosion, which helped the rifle endure harsh frontier conditions. The Henry rifle quickly gained a reputation for its remarkable firepower. During the American Civil War, soldiers who carried the rifle found themselves equipped with a significant advantage. Although it was not issued in large numbers by the military, many soldiers purchased Henry rifles privately and brought them into battle. Confederate troops reportedly referred to the Henry rifle as that damned Yankee rifle that they load on Sunday and shoot all week. While this statement was clearly exaggerated, it reflected the impression that the rifle left on those who faced it in combat. Union soldiers armed with Henry rifles were capable of laying down rapid suppressive fire that could halt enemy advances or defend key positions. In defensive situations, a small group of soldiers with Henry rifles could hold off a much larger attacking force due to their superior rate of fire. However, despite its advantages, the Henry rifle also had several limitations. One issue was the way the magazine was loaded. To load the rifle, the shooter had to rotate a sleeve at the front of the magazine tube and slide it forward. This allowed cartridges to be inserted from the front of the magazine rather than through a side loading gate as seen in later lever-action rifles. While effective, this system required the shooter to expose the front of the rifle during loading and could be somewhat awkward, especially under battlefield conditions. Dirt or debris entering the open magazine tube could also cause problems. Another limitation was the relatively low power of the .44 Henry rimfire cartridge. While it was effective at moderate ranges, it lacked the long-distance power of some military rifles used during the Civil War. Even so, the Henry rifle represented a massive technological leap forward. It demonstrated that repeating firearms could be reliable, practical, and highly effective in real-world conditions. After the war, the Henry rifle became extremely popular on the American frontier. Settlers, hunters, and lawmen appreciated its ability to deliver rapid fire and its relatively simple operation. In remote areas where danger could come from wild animals or armed criminals, having multiple shots ready without reloading was a valuable advantage. The success of the Henry rifle also paved the way for one of the most famous firearm companies in history. The design later evolved into improved rifles produced by the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. In fact, the Henry rifle is often considered the direct ancestor of the legendary Winchester Model 1866, sometimes called the Yellow Boy, due to its brass receiver. The Winchester Model 1866 improved on Henry's design by adding a side-loading gate, which made reloading much faster and more convenient. This innovation allowed shooters to top up the magazine without exposing the front of the rifle. Over time, Winchester continued refining lever-action rifles, producing models that became iconic symbols of the American West. But the foundation of this entire family of firearms can be traced back to the Henry rifle of 1860. From a historical perspective, the Henry rifle represents a turning point in firearm development. It marked the transition from slow, single-shot weapons to repeating rifles capable of delivering sustained firepower. This shift would eventually influence military tactics around the world. As repeating firearms became more common, armies had to rethink battlefield strategies, logistics, and training methods. The ability for a single soldier to fire many rounds quickly changed the dynamics of combat. Today, the Henry rifle is remembered not only as a technological innovation but also as an important artifact of American history. Surviving examples of original Henry rifles are highly valued by collectors and historians. Many are displayed in museums where visitors can see firsthand the craftsmanship and design that made the rifle so influential. Modern reproductions of the Henry rifle are still produced today, allowing enthusiasts to experience the handling and operation of this historic firearm. These reproductions often maintain the classic brass receiver, lever-action mechanism, and tubular magazine that defined the original design. Holding or firing a Henry rifle today offers a glimpse into a time when innovation and necessity drove rapid changes in technology. For soldiers on Civil War battlefields, for pioneers crossing the frontier, and for inventors pushing the limits of mechanical design, the Henry rifle represented the future of firearms. In the broader story of weapon development, the Henry repeating rifle stands as one of the most important milestones of the 19th century. It proved that repeating firearms could be reliable enough for combat and practical enough for everyday use. Its influence continues to echo through modern firearm design, reminding us that even in an era dominated by advanced technology, the breakthroughs of the past still shape the tools and systems used today. What began in 1860 as a bold new idea developed by Benjamin Tyler Henry ultimately changed the way rifles were built and used. The Henry rifle transformed the expectations of what a firearm could do, giving a single shooter unprecedented firepower and helping usher in the age of repeating rifles that would dominate the